Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of JAWS Diaries. I'm Ashley.
Ashley Wahler here. Hope you guys are doing well. I just wanted to say, yeah.
We're shooting this really early in the morning, hence why I'm in my wonderful robe and I'm so pregnant right now and I feel like I'm gonna pop any second, so don't judge me, okay?
Yeah, but anyways, we really appreciate all the insight and feedback that we got from you guys from last week's episode. It was super hard to open up and be super vulnerable, but I'm very grateful we did, and really again appreciate the feedback and all the support. But we'll jump into this week, and I know Ash wants to bring up something just on my behaviors, how I've been this week. So why don't you take it away?
Okay, so Jason's kind of been not very nice this week, and I'm not really sure why, so we're gonna have to figure this out, but
you know exactly why.
Well, so 2 weeks ago, we shot an episode talking about miscommunication as well as Jason's like night eating and how he would get really upset about it. And I don't necessarily think you've been night eating, but there's definitely been like uncomfortability with body image issues this week. And I think that's stemming a lot from your irritability and just like really highs and lows, like total roller coaster, not on like an even playing field. So that's basically what's been happening. And it's kind of going back to what we said 2 weeks ago. So
yeah, so I think instead of, us trying to dive into it, and try to keep like over analyzing this, what we're going to do is next week, we're going to bring somebody on that can really help, because it's caused, it's getting worse. And it's something for me that I don't have the answers to. Specifically what happened is after, seeing just pictures and different things after we were at the beach, and it's just like, I don't know, there's just super big insecurities that are coming up. So we're gonna bring on a professional, and we're gonna have them help us digest what's happening and a solution for that. So we're gonna kind of table that, but we really wanted to get to back to some of the questions this week. And so the first one is from Paul Anderson. He says, how do you deal with anxiety and stress? Which is a very good one. Ash, do you want to answer that?
yeah, I mean, and then we can kind of both answer how we deal with anxiety and stress. I think would be good. So I think for me, a lot of anxiety for me stems from like the fear of the unknown and future tripping. And so whenever I'm in that like anxiety driven moment, I really have to check myself and go back into like, where are my feet? That's what my like sponsor mentor always used to say to me, like, be where your feet are, like be in the moment. Like that's the most important thing. And obviously having another baby, there's a lot of anxiety that comes with it. Just the idea of being like prepared and having everything ready before the baby's here has been a big problem of mine, because I can go back into that like spinning brain of my codependency. And so, yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is meetings, like going to meetings in the morning, but also just like taking a phone call and just realizing that making maybe like a list has been really important for me, like figuring out the tasks for the day that are the most important, like wants versus needs, and making sure to make that very apparent so that the anxiety doesn't stress me out, and communicating it effectively. That's what our therapist has helped me with, is like making sure that if I need stuff done, instead of stressing out and having anxiety about it because I can't do it, I need to make a list for Jason of things that I need done rather than the things that I want done, because the wants are not important. It's the needs that need to get done. And when those needs are met, the anxiety's gone.
That's a great point. I mean, for me, so when I'm dealing with stress and anxiety, I always revert back to the AAA modality. And I've talked about this before, but it's awareness, acceptance, and action. If you're not aware of what's going on, you can't accept it. And if you can't accept it, you can't take an action. So I'm very, very mindful, of when I'm in those modes where the stress is coming from, where the anxiety is. And I will take a moment to think about it, and accept what's happening. And then I will put an action to play. And that's usually what's most beneficial and helpful for me. And the other thing is sometimes I've really focused on a breathing exercise. When I have a ton of stress, which is 4 seconds in, hold, breathe for 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, breathe 4 seconds out, and then hold for 4 seconds. So 4 second increments into everything, which has been very, very helpful. Now, another thing I do a lot of prayer. I do a lot of meditation. Something that's also very helpful is a gratitude list, especially if I'm really overwhelmed and stressed. I'll pause and do a gratitude list. 3 things I'm grateful for, not only what, but why. Exercise is a huge thing. Something that I'm really getting connected with is even just going on walks and getting out and just kind of just disconnecting, leaving my phone behind, taking my dog, walk with a friend. And also one of probably the biggest things for me is being of service, is giving back. When I'm really overwhelmed, you know, in my own stuff, it's very nice to get out of self and do something for somebody else. So those are things I would do with stress and anxiety. Hopefully that was helpful. But Ash, Gen C has asked, how do you deal with your fiance who is still actively drinking?
I feel like I get a lot of these messages all the time on social media. It's really hard because when you're in that moment, a lot of times you can feel really helpless, but you want to try and not put the focus on the alcoholic, because I can even see where the question is. Like, how do you deal with your fiance who's actually drinking? Well, you shouldn't like deal with him. You should not really be in his space. You should deal with yourself. So that's step one. Like, you got to take the focus off the addict. You got to take the focus on you, and you have to get yourself back healthy, because you're not going to be able to have proper boundaries or anything else if you're around somebody that's actively drinking and you're in their crazy cycle of addiction. There's no way you can be strong. There's no way you can have any of the capability of handling anyone that's drinking if you're not in a good state yourself. So one, try and look up some meetings. There's plenty of meetings online that you can go to. You can Google it, and there's codependency meetings, there's Al-Anon meetings, there's all different kinds of meetings. So that's step one. Surround yourself with people that are going through the same thing as you. Listen to some hope, listen to some wisdom. They will provide answers and solutions for you that you would not even understand. That will get you strong enough to handle being around somebody that's actively using, as well as working on your boundaries. But also make sure that if you are not in a safe environment, that you remove yourself from that environment. I know that it can seem like you are like essentially like the other person could blame you and say you're giving up on them. It's not that. It's just you want to make sure that you have the skills to be able to be in a safe environment. You can love people from a distance. It doesn't mean that you don't love them. It just means that you need to separate yourself from that person at the time so that they can work on themselves and you can work on you to be a healthier person. So
yeah, no, I think this from my perspective is it's very important to get educated on addiction, you know, ask questions, go to meetings. But it's also really comes down to you setting boundaries, you know, and again, is you cannot change anyone. And I think that's the frustrating part with addiction is you think that you can, but you know, it's something that you have to, like Ashley's saying, you got to set boundaries. You got to take care of yourself, get educated on it. And, you know, you can love them and support them, but you know, only when they're willing to help themselves. You can't want it for them. So
hopefully that helps.
Yeah. So Angie, you had a great question the following week. You said, how do you get to the point of bringing up your feelings with each other without the other taking it badly? So
I was going to have a good answer.
Go for it. Hit it.
Okay. So I think the most important thing is making sure that you read the room because timing can be poor when you're having conversations with one another about certain feelings that you're having. Two is do not point the finger at the other person and say you. You have to say, I'm feeling this way because if you start pointing the finger and saying you do this and you do that and you do this, defense mode's going to come up. You're going to have no conflict resolution, and it's going to be a nightmare. That was going to be my tip.
Yeah, that was great.
Sorry. What about yours?
Ash, you did a great job. That's it.
I think that is one of the key things though, is that really even having a conversation about when to have the conversation is really important because timing can be everything. Like sometimes I'll come with Jason with like issues or problems and he's dealing with 500 things on the back end for work and it's like a bad time. So things are not going to get resolved if it's a bad time. And there's like nothing worse than somebody already having a long day, but you don't know they're having a long day and you just shoot them with all this shit. And then they're like, they like explode because they've already been dealing with so much. So having a conversation, hey, I want to talk to you about something. When's a good time to talk to you about something? It's very important. Then figuring that out. Step two, what are you trying to get out of the conversation? Like know that ahead of time. Do you need a resolution? What are the things that you want? How are you going to achieve those things when you have this conversation so that nobody gets hurt? So I think that that's really important. And if you are Angie Gorgeous, gorgeous. If you are talking about when someone is actively using, let us know that, because that's kind of a different situation to have a conversation with somebody like that. But if you're just talking about in real life, in marriage, having a conversation with someone without them getting their feelings hurt, then I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it's about, I mean, for me, it's about having effective communication. It's about, you know, really letting the other person know, like, hey, look, I'm not wanting to attack. I'm just wanting to let you know where I'm at. I'm not in a good place. You know, are we in a place to be able to have a conversation about this now? I'll take notes. I'll write them down. So that way, when we do have a conversation, I know exactly what I'm wanting to talk about. And also the goals of it, you know, it's not making it about this big thing. It's like, hey, look, you know, I'm in a place where I need to have a conversation with you because I'm not doing good, and or there's something that, you know, collectively together that I think we could work on. So, you know, how do we approach this? And it's kind of working at it together as a team is, I think, the biggest thing that has been helpful for us. But at first, it was hard. We weren't in a place to be able to do it ourselves. We had to have a professional come on and give us that direction because we had lost how to have effective communication with one another because of so many years of the alcoholism and codependency going hand in hand, that even the most simple conversations would be a huge blow up. But again, as we've understood each other, we respect each other, and we're in a place to be able to have those now. So again, these are great questions, you guys. We are very, very happy that you guys are asking these. If you guys have more questions, please ask them. But again, next week, we are going to bring on a professional to talk about the, you know, the eating stuff, the insecurities, because we can just keep talking about it, but enough talk. We need to bring some action to the table for this. So I will be going through that. Ashley has her stuff that she'll be going through with her as well, and hope you guys enjoy. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you guys next week. What up, guys? Thank you for watching another episode of JAWS Diaries. Hey, if you or a loved one is struggling and you guys need some direction, some insight, and you're just lost, please fill out the link below and we'd be happy to help.